In the Bible, the Nephilim appear before the flood and re-emerge after the global flood in large populations. They are described as having an immense stature, being powerful, numerous, and tall. Some tribes even possess 24 fingers and toes with double rows of teeth. Og, the giant king of Bashan, stood at 11 feet and 10 inches. He is sometimes referred to in Jewish literature as being the only pre-flood Nephilim survivor. It is said that upon the destruction of the world, Noah made a place for him near the lattice door of the ark, though which because Og had sworn to serve Noah and his descendants for all time, he handed his food every day. The Talmud sees a reference to this and the word, the escaped. Arabic writers also quote this escape of Og as a Jewish story, outlining the same details as being the post-repopulation of the Nephilim. However, there is little credence to support this fanciful account. In ancient times, gigantic stature was considered a blemish, rendering a priest unfit for service. Men of tall stature were warned not to marry women of similar proportions, lest a masked or very tall being be born unto them. Among the Philistines, the Nephilim settled in a place named the Valley of Rephaim. The Rephaim did not constitute a distinct nationality, but were a breed of men of great stature found among various peoples in ancient times. Hence, Og belonged to the Anakim, who were also known as the Amorites at the time. King David's giants were the Philistines and Gittites. If the Horites were Rephaim, they were an exception, and as much as they maintained their identity as a distinct people over the tribes of the Nephilim. This view, however, is not generally accepted. In the case of the Mim and the Zamzummim, it is expressly stated in Deuteronomy that they were replaced by the Moabites and the Ammonites, while the Avim were annihilated by the Philistines. The tradition in Enoch and the Book of Jubilees supplies the explanations why the giants were designated as Rephaim. According to the Book of Jubilees, these Nephilim slew one another, and thus the curse pronounced against the shedders of blood fell upon them. These giants were also known as those who killed their own, which can also be translated to childless. The chief fallen angels as cited in Enoch were also known as those who guided the world, but later fragments were translated to those who ruined the world. These giants, who were direct offspring of the fallen angels, would later be classed into generations. The original giants, Nephilim and their sons, and the Eliud, or grandsons. The original giants were probably largest in size. In the Book of Jubilees, the last mentioned are called Eliud. These three classes correspond to the three names employed in Genesis: Nephilim, Chibarim, and Anshi-Hashem, or Anakim. In the Book of Jubilees, these three classes are described as being different. They fought with one another. According to the Midrash, Adam before the fall was gigantic in stature, but in consequence of his own sin was reduced to ordinary human proportions, and in addition lost the demut, or his likeness to God. These giants, though molded like Adam before the fall, were not like God. They were exempt from the forfeiture of their original stature, and they, like man, had lost their demut. The rabbis hold that these giants had 7 names. The Amim, because whoever saw one was seized in terror. Rephaim, because their sight made people soft or fearful like wax. Jibarim, because their brains alone measured 18 ells. Zamzummim, because they inspired fear and were fierce warriors. Anakim, because they wore huge necklaces in great numbers. Avim, because they destroyed the world and themselves. And the Nephilim, because they caused the world to fall and fell themselves. The description Anshi-Hashem, men of the name, is interpreted as men of destruction. The Kabbalistic commentators allege that they were called men of the name because they imparted to men the mysteries of the divine name and the names of demons to conjure therewith. For in doing so, some of their kind had their noses pierced and were suspended from the dark mountains so that they could never see the sun again. The Anakim were the sons of the Nephilim, and the giants Og and Sihon were the sons of Hiya, who was the son of Samyaza, the chief fallen angel. Some of these giants had their feet 18 ells in length, and the same length is given for that of their thigh. An ell ranges from country to country, but in general it is about 114 centimeters or 45 inches in length, often being measured from elbow across the chest to the next elbow. Numerous rows of teeth were also ascribed to them. They were very voracious, eating as many as 1,000 oxen, horses, and camels each day, relying upon their great size and upon the power of their enormous feet to stop the rising waters. They ridiculed Noah. These giants led a most shameful life, thus causing God to send the flood. This is also the view taken by Arabic authors, where women seduced them by music cosmetics while being adorned with pearl necklaces, similar to the rabbinical translations of anak, meaning neck. After the collapse of the Tower of Babel, Hebrew was forgotten until Abraham was taught it again by the angels. After the murder by Cain, it was announced and written down on the heavenly tablets that both he that committed the murder and he that witnessed it and did not declare it before the tribunal of justice for punishment should be cursed. Wherefore even the angels must declare every sin committed by man. Enoch, who was the first man initiated by the angels into the art of writing, and who accordingly wrote down all the secrets of astronomy, of chronology, and the world's epochs to the end of time, testified against the angels that fell by lusting after the daughters of men. And ever since he was taken to heaven, he is said to have been recording the good deeds and the sins of men, and will continue to write them until Judgment Day. Thus all the iniquities of men from the time of the flood, and all that is done in heaven, earth, or Sheol, are written on the tablets of heaven for final judgment. Son of Arphaxad, and father of Selah, was taught the art of writing by his father. The Book of Jubilees says that he found rocks with carved inscriptions preserving the forbidden science of astrology taught by the rebel angels. Similarly, Josephus speaks of pillars of brick and stone upon which had inscribed astrological knowledge. God reveals to Enoch his own great secrets, his creation, the story of the fallen angels. He then orders Enoch to go back to earth for 30 days to teach his children and grandchildren what he has seen in heaven. He gives them instruction to write down these in books. He teaches them the ways of the Lord and tells them there is no intercession of departed saints for sinners. Enoch gives renewed instructions as to a righteous life until the Lord calls Enoch. The people assemble to kiss him, and he addresses them for the last time. The angels who fell into sin over the daughters of man are both contested to have fallen out of heaven as well as coming to earth as righteous bearers of light. According to rabbinical tradition, the angels, seeing God's grief over the corruption of the earth, volunteered to descend to earth to teach mankind righteousness. In their new surroundings in flesh, they themselves yielded to the admiration of women. Samyaza became passionately enamored of Ishtar. She, however, would only yield to his desires only on the condition that he would tell her the name of Yahweh, by virtue of which he was to return to heaven. As soon as she possessed the secret, she is said to have rose to heaven herself. Samyaza and his companion mated and had children. Samyaza learns of the coming flood and the troubling dreams his offspring begin to have, and as a result is unable to shed his flesh and return to heaven in his native spiritual form. This announcement of the world's end and his own children's impending doom brings Samyaza to repentance. However, Azazel, who deals in rich adornments and fine garments for women, continues in his evil ways. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. The youngest of his father's house, David kept his father's sheep. threatened by the Philistines, and being armed with Saul's armor, David finds that it impedes his movement. He discards it, takes his staff, and chooses 5 smooth stones out of the brook for use in a sling. He engages the giant, who upon catching sight of his tiny adversary is insulted with disgust. David declares that he comes in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, who Goliath has defied. David, moving forward, slings one of his stones, which strikes the giant between the eyes, sinking deep into the forehead. The giant falls. The sheepherder draws his enemy's sword and defeats the Philistine champion. The young shepherd boy returns victorious amidst all odds, the forces of darkness fleeing in fear of the Almighty God of heaven and earth. God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. For there is no other name under heaven given to men by which we must be saved.